Hello, good people. Knock on wood. Everything seems to be working correctly tonight, but I'm going to let you guys confirm that. You should be hearing me in the chat, as well as if you're already in the phone queue, you should be hearing me in the phone queue as well, because I tested it myself. Let me look again and see if it's still operating as it should. Looks like it is. So I'll wait till you guys get into the phone to let me know, but it looks like we are off and running and everything is sounding and looking clear. Hopefully. But let's get into it. I'm good on YouTube. What's up, Diggy? Let's get right to it, man. Listen, don't have to be a long one tonight. It does not have to be a long one. I don't have nothing to talk about. I have two little topics, and I'm going to ask you all to provide me with the third topic. All right, we're going to get right to it. We're going to get in and out. But welcome to the latest episode. For those of you who are new, let me stop acting like everybody has been here before. Welcome to the latest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host. They call me SimFBallCritic, SimFBallCritic, Sim, whatever you want to say. And let me just say this as well. No, my real name does not have Sim in it. Again, people call me Sim because it's short for SimFBallCritic. Some people want to know where I got that name from. So let's start with that. I got the name SimFBallCritic from my adventures on YouTube with gaming. Yes, for a lot of you that don't know my past, I started this YouTube thing because I am a huge football fan. Even when I'm playing video games, I want my football game to be the best simulation that it can be, right? We all know years ago when NFL 2K no longer existed and Madden took over the rights, Madden hasn't necessarily lived up to the bill that we wanted it to live to since then. So all the way back in 2010, I believe, I started making videos on YouTube in hopes of EA or someone else making the best simulation football game possible. And what name did I come up with to call myself? The Simulation Football Critic. Shorten that up to SimFBallCritic. Thus, the name was born. All right, so I thought I'd just give y'all that quick history lesson because people always ask me, man, what's your name? And I don't tell my name. I just don't, because we have to keep some, some mysticism to you. You got to keep some things to yourself. Keep it personal because people are weird and crazy out there nowadays. So if you know me in real life, you know my name. But, on YouTube, I'm SimFBallCritic, Sim for short. There you have it. All right, man, let's get into it. Let's say what's up to the early commenters. My man, Y Diggy in the building. Jared Devil, Mark Cunningham, Lanisha. Hello, the lovely Lanisha in the building. Y'all already know, fellas. Lay out the red carpet for our lovely ladies of Steeler Nation, Lanisha being one of those, of course. Hello, Lanisha. Hope you're having a lovely evening. Who else we have in here? My good brother Kenyon in the building. Kenyon, would you believe it? Have not watched House of Dragon yet, as far as episode 3. I'm going to watch it right after this show. So please, nobody in the comments, don't say anything about it. Don't say anything about episode 3. I didn't get a chance to watch it Sunday night. I think Kenyon watched it late. Tony watched it late. So we haven't even chopped it up in our chat. So I will be watching it right after this show. And then I'm sure I'll be texting Kenyon and Tony. Let's see. Who else is up in here, man? Rel Fax in the building. My man, Antoine Hill. Antoine, I already know what you're gonna make a comment about a certain thing that happened to our Sixers. Feel free. Feel free. I'm curious to know what you think about that move. Who else we got up in here, man? Let's see. A couple more names and then I'll get right to it. Jack Bauer, Joshua Shields, and I think that is it as far as commenters early. Let's get to it. Hold on. What Mark says, Sim, mysticism, bro. You just make me think about earth, wind, and fire, all about love. Yeah, man. I have my moments, I guess. Let's get to it, guys. Like I said, man, I only got a couple topics, man. Let me just make sure I have my notes correct. The main topic, you definitely see it there in the title. And by the way, I had the wrong title earlier for some of you guys who came in early. Being lazy, doing the copy and paste, and I forgot to change the title. So the title was the title of the last show about Hard Knocks. But no, the title right now should be saying, do the Steelers hold on to players too long? That is going to be my main topic, and we're going to discuss that. My first topic, I will talk a little bit about what we're hearing about Broderick Jones. All right, I'm going to go into that. And then the last topic, I'm just going to ask you guys anything you want to ask, anything you want me to cover before I go to the phones. And then after that, we're done. So here we go. Broderick Jones. Broderick Jones, it's being reported that he has moved and will be starting training camp at left tackle. This is per Mark Kaboly. Many of you guys, if you're watching this show, if you're still a fan, if you watch any extracurricular outside of just the football game itself, you would know who Mark Kaboly is. Mark Kaboly is saying that Broderick Jones will start at left tackle going into training camp. Now, is this a fact? I don't know. Is this his speculation? I don't know. I'm just going to make the topic my own. I'm going to assume that is the case. If that is the case, how confident are you guys and gals? How confident are you in the fact that Dan Moore will be the swing tackle? Do you think that Troy Fautanu will be the right tackle? That is the question. I'll give you my opinion. This is just my personal opinion, man. This is not any slight towards any of these players that I'm going to talk about. I'm not taking a jab at any of these guys. Listen, man, let's start with Dan Moore. Dan Moore was a guy, again, if you remember, was drafted in the 4th round and has started left tackle for the Steelers for quite some time now. 3-4 years? I want to say he's going into his 4th. This is his 4th year, I think, if I have that correct. Has he been the greatest? Maybe not. Has he held his own at times? Yes, he has. Has he played well even at times? He has. Has he had bad games? Absolutely. Has he gotten beaten like a drum in some plays and against some players? Yeah. Has he actually held his own against some of the top players? Yeah. So I say all that to say that Dan Moore has been a roller coaster. He's been up and down. But in all due respect, 4th round pick, was not the guy that you would perceive, nobody perceived him to be the starter. Worked his way into that. I got to give him a round of applause. Put some respect on his name. However, Broderick Jones was drafted as a left tackle. Pittsburgh Steelers actually moved up to get Broderick Jones. Only a few spots, but they moved up to get him. And even if I didn't know anything about football, I understand business. I understand decisiveness. I understand, having a plan and making decisions based on what is presented in front of you. What was presented in front of you is we saw that they were willing to move up a few spots to get this guy who came out as a left tackle. Somewhat of a project, sure. I think he only had that one solid season under his belt, played relatively well at Georgia. But if you're going up to get a guy in the 1st round, and that is your pick, he's got to play left tackle. Many of us wanted to see him get a crack at it last year. He finally got on the field, put him at right tackle, made a decent little name for himself, stayed in the starting lineup, got Chooks a core for about it there. But many of us, including myself, I want to see him at left tackle. If you make that type of investment, then you gotta put this dude at left tackle, right? You can't move up in the draft and draft a position and then don't play him there. We've seen enough of the Steelers doing that, have we not? As much as I love the black and gold, we have seen enough of the Steelers, and I will say, put some of that on Mike Tomlin. He's the head coach. We've seen enough of drafting guys and wishing them to do better in another position or stretch. taking these stretch draft picks, whether that was Tomlin, Colbert, or whoever, the Kendrick Greens of the world, and wishing, we wish that this guy can develop into a nice center. We've seen too much of that. Playing guys out of position. We've seen enough of that in this black and gold era that we're watching now. So yes, if you're asking me, I want to see Broderick Jones at left tackle, whether he excels or fails. Because you showed us that was your intention when you drafted him and went up a few spots to get him as a left tackle. So that ain't no shot or no shade to Dan Moore. I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. So I'm happy to see that. Also, no disrespect again to Dan Moore. I want to see the rookie. I want to see Fautanu at right tackle. Why? Because that boy is a dog. You watch this tape. You see how that boy play? Yeah, I need to see that. I want that at right tackle with Broderick Jones hopefully ascending up at left tackle. We haven't seen Dan Moore play right tackle much, and maybe he did it a couple training camps or so ago, but we haven't necessarily seen that. May have even done it in a preseason game. I don't remember. It wasn't enough for me to remember. So I would much rather you take this guy, Troy Fautanu, who played right tackle, actually can play both, but we've seen him premiere most at right tackle and played it pretty darn well with his aggression and just his style of playing that nasty. That's who I want over there at right tackle, Jack. Rookie or not. So I am hoping to see when the season opens up, Broderick on the left, Troy on the right. And that's just how I feel about that. You know what I mean? Like I said, no shot to none of the fellas, man. Listen, Dan Moore is in my opinion, a very good, will be. I'm not going to say is because he hasn't been a backup yet. I'm going to say he will be a very solid, serviceable swing tackle. There you have it. So those are my thoughts there. On to the next topic, man. The main topic, and then I'm going to ask you guys for a topic. This one hurts a little bit, but I have to ask the question, and you guys see Cam Hayward there in the thumbnail, which would give you an indication of where I'm going. The question that I ask and the question that I have in the title: do the Steelers hold on to players too long? Let me explain. Many of us saw this with, I'm going to go as far back as Hines Ward. Many of us saw it with Hines Ward, and I'm just going to go as far back to Hines Ward because a lot of you guys that are watching, some of you guys are older. You've seen the whole gamut. But, I understand I have I was about to say a fan base, and y'all know I don't do the fan base thing. I have family. We family. I have family members here that watch the show that some of you guys and gals are 15, 16 years old. Some of y'all are 20 years old, 25, 30, 35, And then you get beyond that, I would say anywhere from 35, maybe 30. Some of the 30s may have snuck in and saw some of those old games. But I would say if you're 35 or more, then, your era is pretty much, the Ben Roethlisberger era. Dating back to 2004. So we'll start with Hines Ward. We saw Hines Ward stand at the podium, teary-eyed. A guy that I love dearly, man. Hines Ward was one of my favorite Steelers, still is. Just the person he was and the tenacity that he played with, and the dude get up just smiling. Hines Ward is the type of dude I would wanted to have knocked his block off every game. Every game that I played against him, I'm going right at him. Because I'm sick of this dude knocking dudes out, laying the lumber, running past me, and cheesing. That would have got on my nerves if I was facing off against Hines Ward. What you smiling for? Stop that smile. Stop smiling. You ain't gonna do what you just did and then smile at me like that. So, love the Hines Ward, man, but we saw him up there emotional. And he even said that, he considered it, but he just couldn't see himself playing in another jersey. Just couldn't do it. Right? And the fact of the matter is, he played for the Steelers long enough to where it was questionable at that point. Can he continue to play? That question came in. Can he still play at a high level, or is he too old? Fast forward, we saw it with Troy Polamalu. Same situation. Same situation where it gets to a point where everybody can see it. I saw it with my own eyes. I'm trying to remember what year that was. What year was it, man? It might have been like 2014 or one of those. But we were playing the Saints. And I always tell this story, man, because it was actually the first Steeler game I had ever gone to. Big brother cousin Floyd was with me. Him and his wife, me and my wife, and we sitting all close. And remember I told y'all, be careful about sitting close at a football game. My first game, I'm sitting in the 200s, thinking we doing something. Only problem was we sitting on the 20-yard line. So when the flow of the game goes that way, you can't see nothing. I find myself looking at the Jumbotron. So I said, nope, forget that. Fast forward later. This is just a little quick side story. EA Sports. Shout outs to EA from back then. A lot of times they used to send me tickets to games because they had something going on where they had these 4 tickets up in the 500s, way up top. And they knew that I lived close to Pittsburgh, with my Madden connected. Like, yo, we got some tickets. You want, I went to a few games like that. And when I sat up there in them 500s, let me tell y'all something. The best view ever for a football game, especially a guy like me that's watching the whole field. Even when I go right now on my own dime, I'm sitting in 535, 534 area, maybe a little bit closer, but that's where I'm at because you see the entire field. So anyway, that year, very first game, we playing against the New Orleans Saints, and I learned in that particular game a couple things. Ike Taylor can't run no more. Troy Polamalu ain't Troy Polamalu no more. Hurt my heart that I saw the end of Brett Kiesel's career. Y'all remember that? Torn bicep. I saw it. We saw the play. I remember tapping Floyd and saying, oh, look, yo, the beard is hurt. He's running off the field, arm dragging. But I learned in that moment right there, Troy Polamalu was not Troy Polamalu anymore. However, get to the end of the season, I'm sure there was some type of dispute. We all know, it didn't really end the way he wanted it to end in Pittsburgh. And, he was kind of upset with the organization. But they had kept him long enough to where he's now no longer Troy Polamalu. Question becomes, can he play somewhere else? Or did the Steelers hold on to him long enough to where they kind of force you into retirement? We just saw it with Ben Roethlisberger. Long 18 years. It was 18, right? It wasn't 20. 18, right? Correct me with that, right? Guys, I think it was 18. 18 years. Or was it 20? I don't remember. Somebody fact check that. But anyway, let's just say 18. And even Ben Roethlisberger has said he contemplated whether he should retire or not. Right? Still felt like a little piece of him felt like he could still play. However, you're at the point where most of the league looking at you like, you looking like food to everybody else. Like, man, ain't nobody scared of Ben no more. You looking like food, dog. No defense in the league is respecting him anymore. We know all they can do is this. This is how we gonna play him. He's a statue. Could Ben Roethlisberger had continued to play? Perhaps. But he had gotten old enough to where it's a question now. Semi forced in retirement. I say semi because Ben Roethlisberger, will say that it was his decision, but we all know what time it is. Anytime you come out and say, I felt like I could still play, he said it on his own podcast. But you kind of was forced into retirement because we held on to you so long to win. Thank you for the years, Ben. I appreciate you. But we held on to him so long to where nobody else was really willing to give him a real shot. And now we talk about present day. Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward is here contemplating. I mean, if it gets to that point, you know, I have come to grips with I may not retire as a Steeler. Said he talked to his wife about it. And this one hurts bad, man, because, you know, especially you folks that are from Pittsburgh, y'all would know Cam Hayward is a Pittsburgh guy. Cam Hayward has been the epitome of Steeler. I love Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward is in that box of favorite Steelers. You know, I have a few people in my era that were favorite Steelers. You know, I can't say the Joe Greens and all of them. That wasn't my era. I respect Steel Curtain in that era and what all those fellas meant, but that wasn't my era that I watched. So I have my own favorite Steelers. Excuse me. Cam Hayward is in that box. But is at the point where he's, have we held on to him a little too long? What's Cam Hayward? 36, right? Is he 35 or 36? And Cam has been quoted as saying, hey, man, I want to play 3 more years. 3. He's looking for an extension. It hasn't happened yet. Now, I'm not in the office. I don't know if they've had that conversation, but I do know it just hasn't happened yet. And I'm sure that has to be a part of the conversation. His age and durability at this point. Not his heart, not his capability when he's healthy. Because I think he can still play. Look at Calais Campbell. He's still playing. I think these guys are still capable, but with Cam Hayward, it also becomes a question of durability. And here we are. How much will another team be willing to take or pay Cam Hayward if the Steelers didn't extend him? You see what I mean? So I ask you guys, man, and gals, do the Steelers hold on to players too long? It's a tricky question. I'm going to try to answer it myself. I can't really answer it outright. It's a tricky question because the people that we hold on to for so long, you wanted to keep Ben as long as you could. Hines, Troy Polamalu, Cam Hayward, because of what these guys, what they meant to the team, even outside of their play. And I guess the question I'm asking, do you guys think it's fair how these things go down? I will answer that question. It's business. I don't know if you want to call it fair or not, but it's business. If the Steelers elected not to extend Cam Hayward, can you really be mad? Let's say he's not durable this season. Can you be mad? No. It's hurtful because you want to see Cam. I would love for Cam to have gotten a Super Bowl. And I say have gotten because I don't know, guys. I don't see Super Bowl in the picture in the next 3 years. I don't. I mean, anything's possible, but I haven't seen enough. I need to see what this year's Steelers look like because there's change. You know, at least when Ben Roethlisberger was there, you could say, okay, if they give Ben this, give Ben that. Now we're dealing with 2 brand new quarterbacks, 2 of which might have to play, and both of them are on 1-year contracts. So it's hard for me to sit here today and say, yeah, the Steelers are a Super Bowl contender. No. I need to see this team in action. And then I can say, all right, I think they have X, but they now need Z. You know what I mean? They need X, Y, and Z to get there. So that's why I say I would love for Cam to have had a Super Bowl ring. But I don't know, man. It's business. I don't think it would be unfair, man, if Cam wasn't extended. Just my opinion. But what do you guys think? I'm gonna give y'all about a minute or two. What do y'all think about that before I grab the calls? And actually, we'll leave it at that. I don't need a third topic. I think, this is good timing right here. We're at about 25 minutes. What do you guys think about that? Kevin Brockenbarrow says the organization is giving the player the option. Okay. Kenya said the Steelers know this is which is why they drafted 2 O-linemen in the draft. Okay, I think he's answering something else. Oh, y'all talking about James Daniel. Okay. Yeah, y'all talking about James Daniel. Okay. No, I wasn't following the conversation. Antoine says he hates to see Cam leave. Yeah, I would too, man. But it's at that point, bro. It's at that point to where if they didn't pay him, I would have to understand that. Y'all saying James Daniels won't be back in Pittsburgh in 25. Okay. All right, so y'all discussing his contract situation or just his play, I guess, what you guys are saying. And that makes sense now that Kenyon said, seeing that these 2 offensive linemen, one of them being a guard and guard capable, might be writing on the wall for James Daniel. Walter says, my response is above. He says, can't be mad either way. If he can get the bread elsewhere, then kudos. Always love you and remember you as a Steeler, but no to 3 more years. Yeah, man, that's tough. That's tough. And I love Cam. And, and I'm one of those fans that I don't hate players when they leave and all that. You'll always be a Steeler to me. You know what I mean? And Cam was drafted by the Steelers, has played plus 10 years. Come on. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on that, man. So let's grab some calls, man. Let's grab a couple phone calls. And I told y'all, we'd be out of this one, man. Quick in and out. And I think the phone queue is working. I believe so. Let's make sure. Let me turn up my speaker here. We're going to start off with area 951. Hopefully everything is working. Let's give it a try. 951, what you got for us?
Hey, what's up, Sim?
What's going on, man?
Just got a little scenario. I had a little fun during the off season right now because it's kind of dead right now. But I just want to talk about the offense and put you in a scenario real quick. Seeing as how the Steelers' current offensive roster is right now with the receivers and running backs and tight ends in place as it stands right now, I want to put you in the shoes of a defensive coordinator, right? You're playing against the Steelers this coming up Sunday. What is going to be your strategy on stopping the Steelers' offense as the roster currently sits right now? I'll hang up and listen to your answer, bro. Thanks.
Oh, man, that's a good question. Hold on, let me mute the phone queue here. Good question, man. 951, appreciate it. Let's see. Let's have a little fun with that. So let's assume. All right. I'm going to do a real-time answer here. I'm going to pull up the roster, right, offensively, and I'm going to guess who gets playing time. How about that? So y'all bear with me for a second, and I'm going to read you guys skill positions, and I will predict the offensive line and maybe both quarterbacks. So let's do that. Great question, man. I love this. Let's see. So roster. Let's go skill positions first. Offensive. We already know the running backs, right? We know Najee Harris. We know Jaylen Warren. Is there anybody else worth mentioning? Maybe Cordero Patterson. So we'll kind of throw him in there as a gadget type of guy. Wide receivers. Calvin Austin, Marquise Callaway, Jacob Copeland, Dez Fitzpatrick, Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller, George Pickens, Quez Watkins, Deuce Watts, and Roman Wilson. So this is going to be tough on me right here because I don't know who's going to suit up. But let's just say, let's name 5 receivers who will be active on game day. And I don't know if they always go in with 5, but let's just say I'm going to take George Pickens. I'm going to take Van Jefferson. Calvin Austin. Oof. 4 and 5 is tricky. Let's say Roman Wilson. And let's say Scotty Miller. All right, because I'm going to use Scotty Miller and Roman Wilson to work the middle. I don't know, that might be a pause. I'm going to use those two guys, right? At quarterback, I'm going to feature both Russell and assume that Justin Fields will get playing time. So how do I stop him? With that lineup, I would feel like the Steelers are going to try to do with those receivers, right? Scotty Miller and Roman Wilson are key in this scenario because I think if you come into the game with those guys active, you're looking to still run some 11 personnel. And again, this is all speculatory because we don't know what Arthur Smith is going to do. But you're looking to run 11 personnel. That's what I would assume if I'm the defensive coordinator, right? They're looking to run a little 11 personnel, right? So in that case, I'm coming out. I'm going to run a lot of nickel. And believe it or not, I know this could hurt me in the long run. But if Russell Wilson is that quarterback and they're in 11 personnel, and I'm assuming that they're going to work the middle like with the slot receivers, I might play man against them. I might go a mano a mano. I don't want these guys to find the holes in the zone. I want to make you beat me. And I'm going to make Russell Wilson have to hang in the pocket, being shorter in stature, and find the open guy. And we're going to try to get a nice little pass rush going. But that's probably how I would attack it. Because these guys aren't proven. Right, George Pickens is the dog that you got to worry about. I don't know if Van Jefferson can beat man consistently, nor do I know if Roman Wilson can do it in the NFL. Scotty Miller has a little more savviness, but who does he scare? Or Calvin Austin, if I get hands on him. So that's probably how I would attack that. I would try to smother the Steelers defense, and I'm sure I'm lining up straight man every play, and we going right at you. Not going to make it easy for Russell Wilson and leave vacancies in zone coverage. So that's how I would approach that. Just my personal opinion. Hope I answered the question, man. And y'all let me know if I'm off base, if I missed what he said. But yeah, that's what I would do. That's what I would do. And I feel like even in a man situation, see, I don't have to worry too much about Russell Wilson taking off. Now, when Justin Fields comes in the game, we might throw a little zone out there. Might throw a little spy out there because, you know, if I were the Steelers, I would throw a formation out there with Justin Fields, Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, and Cordero Patterson. And make you, what we doing? Who getting the ball? So for that, you know, I might zone it off a little bit, but that's what I would do. You know, and I think if you play man, you are in decent position as well to stop a basic run. You know, because guys are not backpedaling first. They're kind of, you know, holding their ground. So that's how I would contend with Najee and Jaylen Warren. Now, would it work? Who knows? But that's kind of how I would approach it. Snappy Nappy Dugout. Appreciate the subscription there, man. Appreciate that. Welcome to the family. All right, let's get to the next one, man. Who else we got up in here, man? Let's see. Area code 302. 302. What you got for us?
Hey, Sim, I have a short question for you, more of a fun one. Because last week I had asked you, would you rather get hit by, you know, Lawrence Timmons, Vince Williams, or Landon Roberts? This week, since you said Lawrence Timmons, now I'm going to ask you, if you're a receiver and you run a skinny post route, would you rather see Ryan Clark coming at you or Lawrence Timmons coming at you? Thank you for the call.
Ooh, man, I love these questions. These are fun. So if I'm running a skinny post, I'd rather see Lawrence Timmons than Ryan Clark. Let me explain. You know, for those in the back, for the people in the back that don't understand why I would say that. Lawrence Timmons, even in his heyday, we started dropping him in coverage. You know, he played the Ryan Shazier role before Ryan Shazier. This is the guy that's going to drop deep, especially if we're doing like a Tampa 2, which we didn't run a whole lot of Tampa 2 back then, but we was known for having Lawrence Timmons play down the middle of the field and try to wall off the tight end and just play that seam. But oftentimes, you know, especially if you had the right matchup, especially on the outside, if you have a guy running the skinny post, even if it's coming from the slot, he's probably going to have a head of steam a bit ahead of Lawrence Timmons. So realistically, by the time you catch that skinny post, Lawrence Timmons might be right behind you and he gets a little hit on you, or he's able to trail you and get you down to the ground. But rarely is he going to be in position to really lay the boom. Ryan Clark, on the other hand, if y'all know Ryan Clark like I know Ryan Clark, and let me remind y'all, Ryan Clark wasn't the biggest guy in the world, but this dude played big. Ryan Clark would knock your head off playing that post position. Loved Ryan Clark. I just loved his tenacity, you know, and to me, I felt like maybe that's just how he played, but I felt like he had a little extra edge knowing he's playing with his partner in crime, Polamalu, where he knew he wasn't going to be the athlete, the overall athlete that Polamalu was. So I felt like he knew he had to bring his thing consistently. And boy, did he. I would not like to see Ryan Clark at the end or the beginning of that post route coming down. No, sir. No, sir. You can have that. Nah, I would not want to be like this. Nah. I take the Lawrence Timmons for 400, Alex. Because rarely is he gonna be in front of me when I catch that ball. So there you have it, man. Great question. I love fun topics like that. All right, we got one more, man. This is one of our favorites, man. My guy, Mr. Winningham, man. Area code 803. What you got for us, sir?
Sam, how you doing? How you doing this evening?
Good.
No, I would not want Ryan Clark to come after me. You asked Wes Welker, you asked Willis McGahee, and a few others. You know, in the past, in the 70s, yeah, we had dynamite safety combinations. But after that, we really didn't have two safeties that tandem. I would love to see Minka Fitzpatrick with a running dog. Nobody would want to come through the middle of that defense ever. You was talking about Cam Hayward. You know, for the last 2 years, he is undoubtedly has been the entire locker room leader, a two-time Walter Payton award winner for outstanding community service. But there comes a time, like you said, when you get up in age and you get too old, and you become, you can't protect your own self. You become a safety hazard out there, and no one wants to see their heroes like the 70 Steelers leave one by one, limping off the field, one reason or another. But I'm hoping that, and another thing with that, there's too much money. We can't afford to allocate. We can't afford to pay Cam Hayward the money that we need to pay him now, with a bunch of contracts on the offensive side of the ball coming up within a year or two. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great and fantastic week and a safe 4th of July.
Man, Mr. Winningham, thank you so much. We always appreciate you just giving that perspective that you give, man. Again, Mr. Winningham is one of those guys who seen the 70s, one of our elder statesmen. And I love talking to him, man, because, I'm just me by nature. I respect those who came before me, so I always appreciate him calling. And it's humbling. It's humbling, when guys, older than myself are entertained by me, so love Mr. Winningham. But yeah, he's right. He always says something that makes you think. Could you imagine a real tandem with Minka? Wow, man, wow. Because again, some people in Steeler Nation, man, y'all judge Minka just off of interceptions. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. You have to look at the totality of his play. Minka is a monster. Just imagine if he had a real running mate back there. And again, no disrespect to any of the guys that he's played with, but I'm just saying, even like a Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark may not have been the ball skills type of guy. Sometimes he had butterfingers, but you knew, if you was facing off against him, because Palomalu would light you up too now. You weren't trying to see them problems. You're trying to keep the ball away from Palomalu because of his ridiculous, his freakish athleticism. And then you don't want to lead your receiver too far into Ryan Clark. Minka has not had that luxury. Now, do you get that often in the NFL? No, you don't. It's hard. It's hard to get that. Like Mr. Winningham said, in the 70s, they had some tandems. But, in the history of the NFL, I won't even say history, but let's say in the last 20 years of the NFL, there hasn't been many safety combos where you was like, yeah, they them. That's why shout outs to, to the Bills. Micah Hyde and Poyer were them for a minute. You know what I mean? They was a tandem you had a force to be reckoned with, and you don't get that often. So just imagine if we had another dog beside. And, hey, maybe Deshaun Elliott is that. We'll see. Deshaun Elliott will more than likely be more of the thumper. We'll see. Look, shout outs to Antoine Hill. He just said the same thing. So, wow. And yeah, Kenyon is right, man. Ed Reed was special. That was a special individual. It was almost where you couldn't just imagine Ed Reed and Palomalu in the same defensive backfield. That would just be unfair. Them two guys, and I always say, man, in my era, I always say, people always want to say who was better. I never compare Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu because simply put, those guys were both safeties, but they had different roles. Ed Reed was a center fielder. Ed Reed was a free safety. Troy Polamalu, by position, was a strong safety. He just happened to be the type of guy that would come out and say, hey, I'm playing deep, you play up front. Ryan Clark tells that story all the time. Dick LeBeau used to say, look, we trust Troy. Troy would come out and say, hey, yo, Ryan, you go play up. I'm going to play the post. Because he was just instinctive like that. But in his truest form, Troy Polamalu was a strong safety. So you can't compare him and Ed Reed. And their styles were different. So, I just hate when people do that. But yeah, man, that's all I got on that. I appreciate everybody coming in tonight, man. That's about all I got. I will spend a few minutes here, just a couple minutes. Anything you guys want to fire off in the comments, feel free. What y'all got? Give me something real quick before we wrap up, man. Told you this would be a relatively short one tonight because, it's just that time of the year. It ain't much going on. And, we keep pushing these weeks out, though. We're going to slowly but surely get to training camp. Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. Yeah, Cam was a big boy, too. Woof. Man, Cam Chancellor was a big boy. And Earl Thomas was nasty. You right, man. Like, Legion of Boom they weren't fair for a period of time. They just wasn't fair. Yeah, like Prime, Browner, and Richard Sherman. Lord have mercy. They weren't fair. It was not fair at all. What else y'all got? Kevin Brockenbarrow says this D will be top 2 this year. Ooh, that's high praise. We'll see. I mean, to kind of co-sign Kevin's theory right there, right? I don't know if they'll be top 2, but to kind of co-sign his thought process. Listen, man, the Steelers defense has had great potential over the last 3 years or so, right? They've been tops in some of the categories. You know, one of them years, tops in picks. We've been leaky a little bit in the run game, but, you know, just looking at the talent, they have a chance. You think a guy like Herbig is going to be another year into it, a nice rotation piece. If we could keep TJ healthy, even though he's aging, Highsmith is peaking. Minka is in his prime. Joey Porter Jr. is in his second season. They talking about him being the next lockdown corner. I mean, they have some pieces. Patrick Queen. All right, Cole Holcomb back in that mix. If Peyton Wilson gives us anything, I mean, they have some pieces. If Benton can continue to excel. But we'll see. We'll see how it comes together. So I don't know if I can say top 2 yet, but yeah, looking at the talent, man, I don't disagree with Kevin's assessment of, you know, having lofty expectations to say, hey, they can be. I'm with you. What else y'all got? Anything else? Anything else? But my man, Antoine, man, if you want to, if you feel like it, shoot me a quick email, man. I am curious to hear your thoughts on the Paul George thing coming to Philly. But all right, I don't see anything else. Let me look one more time. And some people would challenge that, Kenyon, just because they don't know the history. But Kenyon is saying that Troy Polamalu is the 3rd greatest safety in USC history. And let's understand what he's saying. He's just talking about USC. And you got to remember some of the cats who played out there, some of the Trojans. You know, they had some special safeties. What else y'all got? Real Fact says, excited for Joey Porter Jr. Feel like he could make a significant year 2 jump. Lockdown corner we haven't had in a while. Yeah, man, it's been a long, long time coming. I hope Sam Cook is in the building. I hope changes are coming in that regard, because I definitely like what I'm seeing out of Peasy Jr., man. He's looking decent. But all right, man, I think that's it for me. I think that is it for me. Antoine says he thinks PG is old. Yeah, we gonna see, man. We gonna see. But all right, guys, I think that's gonna do it for your boy. I'm gonna get off for now. Like Mr. Winningham, I'm gonna follow his lead and say, hey, I hope everybody has a happy and safe, 4th, as far as how you're gonna, spend your time, your festivities. This will be the first time that it will be hosted at my home. Wow. It's going to be a lot. And maybe next week I'll come back and tell you guys why it was hosted here. There was a special edition that we have that has made this summer a little different. And I will explain that to you guys at a later date. But yeah, man, everybody be safe out there. Be responsible. And as crazy as it may sound, always remember, and again, this ain't no disrespect, always remember, JPP and fireworks. Be careful out there. Be careful with that. Be careful around your, with your surroundings. If you go on to firework events, and just keep an eye on people. People are crazy out there in the world right now. Some wild stuff happening out there randomly. So everybody be safe, man. Be responsible. If you're going to partake in some drinks, some of y'all like to toke up, whatever your vice is, just be safe out there. All right, man. So outside of that, if you haven't already, man, if you're here and you're still here and you enjoyed the video, bam, hit the like button. Don't cost you nothing to do that. If you like the content, make sure you subscribe. And once you are subscribed, turn on those notifications so you know when videos are streaming or have been uploaded. Outside of that, man, y'all have a great one. God bless. Stay safe. Good night. And I shall catch y'all in the next one. Peace.